Hello and welcome to Brodual. This time we have Nock to tip. This is an archery overhaul that aims to remove the dependence on smithing, and in effect opening the way for a pure archer character build. The author felt it was weird that archers were forced into building their smithing skills if they wanted to craft arrows or improve bows. So to fix that, the mod adds a new fletching system for arrow creation, and a restringing system as a way to improve bows. These two systems are the core of the mod, but it also expands on archery in other areas. They're mostly smaller changes, like tweaks to arrow physics and a couple of new perks, but I'll get into that later on in the video. First, let's take a look at the new crafting systems. Both of them are handled at a new crafting bench that can be found in the Drunken Huntsman or the Solitude Fletcher. The left side is for arrow fletching. From here you can create arrows from scratch by using an arrowhead and 4 generic materials. The arrowheads are from each material type, so all the way from iron to dragonbone, and everything in between. The generic materials can be found all over Skyrim, both in loot and on vendors, or you can simply make them in the new menu. They're extremely cheap and easy to find, and as a result creating fletching arrows is a cheaper alternative to forging them. However, to balance things out, they're slightly weaker than forged arrows too. Fletched arrows are integrated exactly as you'd expect them to, so you won't all of a sudden find Daedric arrowheads at level 1, and everything is integrated into the leveled list, just like the vanilla arrows and bows. The system also opens up bolts for all materials too, so you're no longer limited to dwarven or steel bolts. So put simply, arrow fletching now offers an alternative method of crafting arrows and bolts. They're cheaper, but also weaker, and the system doesn't depend on anything other than the required materials. If you want a portable fletching system, you can also activate an optional fletching power that you can use anywhere in the world, so you'll never run out of arrows in the wild again. The new improvement system is handled on the right side of the new crafting bench. Unlike arrow fletching, which offers an alternative system, the restringing system completely replaces the vanilla one, so bows and crossbows can no longer be improved at a grindstone. The restringing system lets you upgrade bows in 2 different ways. First, you'll need to get your hands on a string, which comes in 2 types for both bows and crossbows. As you all know, how far you can upgrade a bow usually depends on your smithing level, but now it'll depend on your archery level, as well as the type of string you use. For bows, the strings will boost damage but also increase draw time, so it depends on how fast you want to be able to draw your bow, as well as how powerful you want your shots to be. Do you want to be close to enemies and fire quick shots, or fire away and one-hit KO targets with a snipe shot? It's your choice to make. For crossbows, high speed strings will actually decrease your damage, but significantly boost your draw speed. And then high tension strings will do the opposite, turning crossbows into a more of a sniping weapon and not something that can be used in close combat. Upgrading an enchanted bow will also remove the enchantment. This is because you're replacing a part of the enchanted bow with a new unenchanted piece, so you're breaking the magical bond. However, this can be fixed with a new perk that I'll get into in just a minute. So that's the 2 new systems in a nutshell. Archers are no longer depending on smithing for arrows or improvements. However, smithing is still useful for creating the actual bows, as well as forging more powerful arrows, so there's a nice balance. As I said earlier, the mod also changes a few other things in regards to archery. Almost every arrow in the game has been remodeled. This has been done to create a more standardized arrow, but also to keep the unique flair of each arrow type. So for example, the weird ebony and dragonbone arrowheads have been replaced, but you can still clearly tell which material the arrow belongs to. Arrows are generally longer than in vanilla and expand past the hand when you draw. Arrows will also fly faster through the air and will fly further too, so sniping from extreme distances is now possible. On top of that, arrows now spin during flight and will pierce objects more effectively. You can see the difference on screen now. It basically makes it so arrows will go through bodies rather than barely piercing them. Certain quivers have also been remodeled to remove some of the less practical designs, like glass and orcish. Quivers will now also display more arrows. They'll still decrease as you draw them like in vanilla, but there's simply more of them on display. The bow bashing animation has also been replaced with a new backhanded spinning one. It was chosen to give the bash a more powerful feel, rather than the simple punch forward like in vanilla. As I said earlier, the mod also adds a couple of new perks. The first is called crowd control, and it improves bashing with a bow. Instead of just knocking an enemy back, you'll completely knock them off their feet, which works well alongside the new animation. The second perk is called Arcane Archer, and it comes with 2 levels. The first makes it so enchanted bows are not affected by the new tempering system, and its second level will increase the damage of enchanted bows. These perks are just like any other, but for compatibility's sake, if you want to use something like Percus Maximus or any other perk overhaul, just simply load Nock to tip before it. It'll then remove the perks and re-add them via books that'll be integrated into the leveled lists. That's all of the new smaller features that help tie the overhaul together. A lot of them are very simple and can be found in other mods, but having them in one place means you'll hopefully save a few spaces on your load order. However, despite all of those features as well as the 2 new systems, the additions by the mod don't end there. The mod also adds a new matching bow and crossbow to the game. They look unique with a double frame and triple string design. and it's a nice extra bonus for any pure archer characters. They're one-of-a-kind weapons and their location is hidden, so you just have to keep an eye out for them as you play. And finally, the absolute last feature of the mod is in the form of novelty arrows. These are 3 new arrows that can be crafted in a new fletching menu, but they're mainly meant for the extremely late game, or for just a bit of fun. They include a triple shot arrow that lets you fire 3 arrows at once, the Mirkwood arrow, which is a powerful late game alternative to Dragonbone, and finally there's a black arrow, also known as the Dragon Killer. These will kill any dragon in a single shot. Overall, the mod adds a lot to the archery playstyle. The new crafting systems are a little more complicated than in vanilla, but if you want to play as a pure archer, or even if you just want to avoid smithing, then you'll appreciate the new systems. There aren't many archery overhauls out there outside of the bigger overhauls like Percus Maximus or Requiem, so this is a nice breath of fresh air. If you're interested in the mod, then you find everything you need down below, and as always be sure to leave an endorsement on any mod you enjoy, and thanks for watching.